The American Citizen's Handbook, Day 4, The Duty of an American Citizen. Welcome to Spin Cycle America. I'm Coach. This isn't about political parties. This isn't about principles. It's about history, responsibility, freedom, and having an honest conversation about the country we all call home. So let's get started. First, I want to thank you all and each and every one of you for tuning in and watching this series and those of you that left comments and shared your thoughts and joined these conversations. When I started the American Citizens Handbook, I had one goal in mind, or I have one goal in mind, to help all of us, myself included, better understand what it means to be an American citizen. So, not through political slogans, not through social media arguments, as we all see today when you look at social media, but by returning the principles that have guided our nation through generations and generations. Because before, several decades ago, we never had social media like we have it nowadays. So over the past few episodes, we talked about we the people, the Constitution, and why our founders divided power into three separate branches. Today, I want to talk about what one simple question to ask yourself. What is the duty of an American citizen? I mean, really ask yourself that question. Do we know what it is? Some of you might say, yeah, it's to sit there and argue and complain about the government all day long. Well, that's your American right. If you're as a citizen, okay, but what is the duty of an American citizen? Notice I did not and didn't ask you what your political party is. I didn't ask you who you voted for. I didn't ask what your opinions are. I did ask, what are your responsibilities? Simply because we are all citizens. I believe that's a question, or a very honest question, every generation should wrestle with and try to answer, because not everybody's answering it correctly. And you can see that on social media platforms today. Because freedom isn't self sustaining. A constitutional republic doesn't continue simply because it has existed for nearly 250 years. It continues because ordinary Americans choose to learn, participate, and pass those principles on. So today's topic is citizenship is more than a status. When someone becomes an American citizen through naturalization, they take an oath of allegiance. Now, you have some people who say, well, I took that oath, but they're still not my president, or I still don't like what's going on, or I'm going to change this, or I'm going to change that. Well, you can do that through voting, but you still have to simulate into the American way. That's why you came here in the first place. That's why people come here. It's for the freedoms that we exist. You left your own country to come here for your freedoms, not to change this country to the way you just came from, to the country you just came from. That ceremony that you just did, or that people that are good and naturalized did, is very emotional. Many people wait for years for the opportunity to become citizens. Some study for months, some study for years. Some overcome tremendous obstacles to get here, just to take that test. And some, even though they take that test or wait those years, still want to try and change this country to the way, to the country that they just left. Why, I have no idea. Why'd they come here in the first place? When they finally do raise their hand to take that oath, they understand, most of them do anyways, they understand something many of us who were born here sometimes forget or take for granted. Citizenship is valuable. It isn't just a legal status. It's a commitment. Many of us who are born here or born U.S. citizens sometimes take for granted. For those that are born American, it's easy to take citizenship again for granted because we never know anything different. We think this is the way it is. We have many people that are saying, well, I'm going to leave this country because I don't like what's going on. Oh, that's fine. Go visit some other countries before you decide you want to up and change your American citizenship to another status. Find out what it's like in another country. Ask a veteran who's traveled abroad to other countries. Is it worth changing your status to another country? Maybe, maybe not. You go find out. Visit some of these other countries. Visit some of these third world countries. But history reminds us that freedom has never been guaranteed. We've always had to fight for our freedom. From the minute this country was born to even in present day, our nation was born through sacrifice. It was preserved through sacrifice. It has been strengthened through sacrifice. Every generation has been asked to contribute something. Some gave their lives. Ask a veteran. Some gave several years in military service. Some marched peacefully to expand civil rights. Some built businesses that created jobs. Some taught children. Some volunteered in their communities. And some simply raised families with integrity and passed good values under the children. Remember these questions or these statements that I just read. Did you fall into those statements or not? Every one of those contribution matters. Sometimes we think serving our country means doing something extraordinary. It doesn't really mean that. So mandatory legal duties. Let me explain some duties that really, as an American citizen, these are what you should do. Obey the laws. Respecting and adhering to federal, state, and or local laws is required to maintain a safe and ordinary society. Pay taxes. Citizenship must pay taxes, income taxes, and other taxes honestly and on time to fund public services and infrastructure. Service on jury. When citizens are legally required to participate in jury duty to ensure the right to a fair trial by a jury of their peers. Register for the Selective Service. Males, citizens, and immigrants residing in the United States, ages between 18 to 25, must register in case the nation requires a military draft. So in the past or recently, people got upset because they had to go off to a war, whether they agreed to the war or not, but they were receiving money and financial help because they joined the military, but they didn't know they would have to go off to fight, and they got upset. Look, that's part of your duty. Essential civic responsibilities. Participate in democracy. Voting in local, state, and federal elections is a primary way citizens can exercise their voting and shape their government. So if you don't like somebody that's in politics or in your government, vote them out. Stay informed. Keep it up to date on community issues, political developments, and current events allows citizens to make educational decisions. Several of us have no clue what's going on. You're just protesting because somebody paid you to go protest. Why? Protest because you know what's going on, whether you're for it or against it. Support the community. Volunteering, helping neighbors, and participate in local or civic organizations, strengthening the local or the social fabric. So help your community. Help them get strong. Respect others. Upholding the rights beliefs, and opinions of fellow citizenships. You don't have to agree with everybody, but you don't have to disrespect them either. Protect the foundational freedoms guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. We don't have to agree with everybody. You don't have to agree with everything that they're saying, but you don't have to be disrespectful to them either. But often it means doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. Respecting the rights of others with whom you disagree. That's the biggest problem that we have right now. If you look on the social media platforms, many people are disagreeing with people just because they don't like what they're saying. So now they're infringing on their rights. These aren't glamorous responsibilities. They won't usually make the evening news, but they are habits that strengthen our free society. As a football coach, I've seen talented teams lose because players only cared about themselves. I've also seen average teams accomplish remarkable things because every player understood that success requires sacrifice. So America works the same way. No president alone makes America great, regardless what one group of people are saying, and one group of people are saying positive or negative things. No Congress alone makes America great. No court alone makes America great either. The strength of this nation has always depended on millions of ordinary citizens who choose character over convenience, service over selflessness, and responsibility over excuses. That's the American story. However, as we see on the social media platforms, many people are complaining and not doing their civic duty, but instead challenging each other, infringing on their civic duty, on their rights. That's how many, or that's how we win and succeed as a free nation, as a free society, is by not infringing on somebody else's rights. Nobody says you can't disagree with somebody. Nobody says you can't tell them that you don't like what they say, but don't infringe on them. Don't harm them because you don't like what they're saying. But don't fight the person or infringe on someone's rights. That's what makes America strong, is disagreement. But being being able to come back to the table and talk about it, that's what makes America great. And right now we're having that issue. We have one party saying no and the other party saying no. They're not coming back to the table. They disagree with each other. They don't like each other. There's no way those two parties are ever going to come back to the table unless one person on each side of the aisle says, yes, it's time to come back to the table. And every generation gets to write the next chapter and question. The question is, what will ours say? Well, right now, our generation is really struggling. We have to be able to write something correct for the next generation. We are struggling. Our next generation, we're about to leave them garbage. So Constitution Corner is this. Let me tell you a little bit about the Constitution. One of the least talked about features of the Constitution is what it is not to do or does not do. It does not give unlimited power to government. Instead, it creates limits. The Constitution establishes powers, divides responsibility, and provides checks and balances so that no single branch becomes all powerful. But yet you can see the struggle with the powers, with the branches. They're all trying to jockey in for position to take total control. The Bill of Rights, added shortly after the Constitution was ratified, further protects individual liberties by placing additional limits on government actions in key areas. The founders found or understood something that remains important today. power should be exercised within constitutional boundaries. That's one reason, or that understanding the Constitution matters. It helps citizens understand both the powers of government and the protections afforded individuals. So here's a little bit about history. So in 1838, a young lawyer named Abraham Lincoln addressed the young men of Leisure of Springfield, Illinois. It spoke about, or he spoke about, importance of preserving Americans' institutions. Lincoln argued that one of the greatest protections for the nation would be a continued respect for the Constitution and the rule of law. I've mentioned the rule of law before. It also talks about the rule of law in the Constitution. His message wasn't that America would always agree. His message was that free people should resolve their differences through constitutional process rather than violence. And right now we are struggling with that. Nearly 3 decades later, as president during the Civil War, Lincoln faced one of the greatest tests in our nation's history. His later reflections reminded us that the health of a republic depends not only on his laws, but also on the character of the civic commitment of its people. We'll continue some more on that in part 2, a little bit later, the next series. So here's the verse for today. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people he chose for his inheritance. Psalms 30, verse or paragraph 33, verse 12. Whether we are leading a family, coaching a team, or serving a community, strong character begins with a commitment to something greater than ourselves. A healthy nation depends on citizens who strive to live with integrity, humility, and purpose. So here's the question of today. Today's question is one I'd really like you to think about. What do you believe is the single greatest responsibility of an American citizen? Is it voting, serving others, learning our history, teaching the next generation, or something else? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation respectful. We don't all have to agree, but we can all learn from one another. So here's a coach's challenge. Here's what I'd like to challenge you with going forward. Choose one way to become more informed citizen. Is it read a section of the Constitution, visit the National Archives website, read one of the founding fathers or significant moment in history, attend a local city council or school board meeting. If you've ever attended a school board meeting, those things can get pretty interesting and sometimes pretty hot. Or sit down with a family member and talk about what citizenship means. Knowledge grows one step at a time, and every step makes us stronger as an individual and as a nation. So today's coach's whistle is this. As a coach, I've learned that talent alone never wins championships. The team that succeeds are the ones we share, communicate, trust one another, and understand that every player has a responsibility. America isn't that different. Our Constitution gives us a remarkable framework for freedom, but it's the character of our team or our nation that brings those responsibilities to life. The future of the Republic won't be decided by the halls of government. It will be shaped every day by parents raising their children, teachers inspiring students, neighbors helping neighbors, veterans continuing to serve the communities, and ordinary Americans who choose responsibility over indifferences. So if each of us does our part, we have this nation. We can make this nation stronger than we found it, and that's a legacy worth striving for. So I'm Coach. Thank you for joining me today here on Spin Cycle America. Remember, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being responsible. It's about understanding where we came from, appreciating the future or the freedoms we have, and doing our part to leaving this country better than we have and better for the next generation. You all have a great day. Take care of yourself. Take care of your families. Take care of each other. God bless you, your family. God bless, continue to bless the United States of America. And you all have an outstanding day. I'll catch you on the next episode of Spin Cycle America.